Hi, I'm Jeff, and I'm a therapist.
And I'm Tyler, and I'm a patient.
We're going to talk about trauma, healing, and everything. Everything is traumatic. Yeah, Ken will. We're very concerned about Ken, but that'll come later.
Now, for those of you who do not know who Ken is he is a good friend of mine. We do production stuff together, and he was going to be on the podcast, and he still will in the future. But Jeff is convinced that I have kidnapped him, and I'm hiding Ken from him.
I haven't seen Ken or heard Ken. I've just heard about Ken. So yeah, there are some concerns.
And I just want to try and ease those concerns for Jeff, just to let him know that I didn't kidnap Ken. He's perfectly fine. I didn't start a fake Facebook account to dupe him.
This podcast is all about healing. And so we are trying to heal this kind of rift that might grow between Tyler and I if he has laid his hands on Ken.
Ooh, is that like the point of the podcast? Is how we slowly start resenting each other?
I don't think I could resent anybody more than I resent myself. So
Ooh, yeah.
now I feel like you and I could probably talk forever and never like have a harsh word.
Even if we had a disagreement, I feel like we're just both like, okay, well, I respect your opinion, and you're entitled to it.
Yeah.
Even if we
I,
don't.
I just I don't have energy in my life really for negativity. So yeah, I mean, I can get along with most anybody, but you are an exceptionally special person, Tyler. You're very unique, very creative, very friendly, easy to talk to. So I can't see myself ever tiring of this.
Well, I greatly appreciate that. You told me the same things I heard in elementary school.
All right, very good. we're just pushing that forward.
No, I mean, I greatly appreciate that. That actually does mean a lot to me. Like, I know that sounded sarcastic too, but that means a lot to me that you perceive me as being easy to talk to and having a unique viewpoint sometimes. And maybe it's just because I am me, so I'm always like with me. But I feel like I don't have interesting viewpoints, and I feel like I am not easy to talk to. I feel like I have a hard time communicating sometimes, and it just kind of happens, I guess.
Yeah, I think we are always. It's so much easier to see the strengths in others than ourselves because we are able to see outside of that all that junk that we build up in our heads that we have about what we're supposed to be or what we are or what we aren't. And we look at another person, we can just sort of see them.
Mm-hmm.
When we're trying to filter through our own garbage in our head, it's just so much in the way. And so we have a hard time, I think, seeing ourselves as we are. And that's why therapy is important because it's a way of verbalizing our thoughts and our feelings and getting it out and sort of hearing ourselves and then having some feedback.
Yeah. I feel like I do want to say, like, maybe just for the sake of, I don't know, having perspective on like the other side of why it's hard to see the good in us, is that everyone who like sees us and is like, "Oh, you're a great person." They don't see us 24/7. They don't see us shove trash into the couch. They don't see us cut someone off in traffic. They don't see us uh, do something nasty in a bathroom. So it's
Right.
like we
Right.
we have to see all of it and of ourselves. So maybe that's why it's like hard for us to take those compliments. And I also feel like just like the way we're raised up is always to take care of others, look out for others, which is of course is important. But I feel like
Yeah.
it should maybe also be stressed. I don't know. I'm not a parent, but I feel like maybe it should also be stressed to like, hey, take care of yourself too.
Yeah.
because you can't give your.
We're taught that taking care of yourself is selfish,
Mm-hmm.
and taking care of yourself is really essential
Mm-hmm.
for us to function, because we use so much energy trying to help the world or do our jobs or whatever it is, that if we don't take care of ourselves, we're just going to be worn out all the time.
Yeah, we can't help others when we can't even help ourselves, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get the 24-hour thing. And yes, we know ourselves, but I think one of the most common fears is if somebody really knew what we thought, what we really were, all the things we had done, they wouldn't really like us. And so
Mm-hmm.
we'll say, okay, you say you like me, but if you really knew me, if you really knew all the stuff I've done, you would think I was a freak or some kind of horrible person.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everybody thinks that.
Yeah, and yeah, I think 100. I know I do. I know that's like
Yeah.
one of the proud things I have about doing Shot for Shot, the web series, was like all the worst aspects of me are right there.
Yeah.
Drunk,
And I mean,
belligerent, being a dick.
but
And
I think that's the thing. Like you said, the 24-hour thing, we all are doing that stuff.
mm,
And so uh, I think we just want to be seen and accepted for who we are, and we want to be known. And that's hard, but I don't know everything you've ever done, but I know enough about you to know you're a decent human being. You care about others, you're creative. And so to me, that's all that matters. I mean, you might have killed a hooker in the past. I mean, all of us have, but
they're only dead
but
once they're a hooker. Or
that's right.
they're only a hooker once they're dead. I'm sorry. When they're alive, they're escorts.
That's right.
uh,
Exactly. Sex workers.
sex workers. Yes, yes, yes. Um,
But seriously, I mean, I know enough about you to know that you're a decent human being that cares about things. And so the other stuff doesn't really matter. We all do fucked up shit.
that's the thing too. Yeah, like I think the important thing is like because there isn't no singular good guy and there isn't no singular bad guy. It's always balanced. It's always counterbalanced. It's always like there are no good or bad people. There are just people, and people are capable of doing good or bad things.
Yes. Yes. Even the bad people that we would classify bad, like Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer, who did horrible, horrible things, they
Unspeakable
still
things.
had yeah, unspeakable, but they still had pieces of them that were caring, pieces that were loving, pieces of them were decent. And so their balance is off from the normal human being that sort of got a little bit of bad, but
Hmm.
still, there's a reason why they are the way they are. They've got a story and an experience that sort of took them to that place they are in their life.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Like, and even it's very controversial to say that, but it's true because I mean they were human, and I know it's hard
Yeah.
to sympathize with them. I personally do not sympathize with them either. Um, but I have to accept the fact that they um were just as capable of doing good as they were just as capable of doing bad.
Yes.
Like, and we all, unfortunately, have that potential.
Yeah. And I mean, there's no excuse for that. There is no exception for that. And there's consequences for that. And both of them are one of them was executed officially and one of them was executed unofficially.
Hmm.
And they hurt a lot of people. It's just we like to put things in boxes.
Hmm.
You're all good or you're all bad. You're this or you're that. And life is more complicated than that. People are complicated.
Not, yeah,
Um,
people are complicated and not everything is black and white.
yes,
Um,
exactly.
but I know one of the things that you had mentioned that I think this is a good segue into that is like what we, why, with a lot of stuff that has been happening in the world, why the justification for that is children. It's always think of the children, protect the
We're going to
children.
protect the children.
We're gonna.
We're going to have more guns. So that will protect the children. Everybody gets a gun at birth for the children.
It's and it is. I think it is a bizarre thing. It is a weird scapegoat. I feel I don't have a better word for it other than scapegoat.
Yeah.
And for them to even use kids, the for the protect the children argument is just kind of also baffling because they are regularly doing routine school shooter drills.
Yeah.
Like I think a kid, I don't know. I'm going to sound like Mr. Facebook here, but I'm just going to fucking say it. That is, if kids can handle the concept of a fucking shooter drill, they can handle the concept that adults want to play dress up.
Yeah. Yes, they can, and they can handle the idea. Yeah. Well, I mean, they can handle. And now for Mr. Facebook, if they can handle school shooter drills, they can handle Catcher in the Rye. They can handle they they can handle To Kill a Mockingbird. I think they're going to be okay. Um, the concept of banning a book, and I'm pretty liberal. The concept of banning a book is so foreign to me. I don't have a problem with any parent saying, I don't want my kid to read this book. I want a alternate book. That is totally fine. I don't have a problem with that at all. I do have a problem with saying we're not going to have this book in the library or nobody can read this book. I don't understand that concept. How is that protecting anybody?
Because it's keeping away knowledge from people, I feel.
Yeah, yeah.
Or it's keeping away a perspective, a different story. It doesn't make any sense, and it's just full blown. It's just censorship, and I have strong feelings towards censorship because I feel like it's just an excuse for someone to not regulate the content that their child consumes.
Yeah. I mean, that's the parent's job, is to protect their child from whatever they want them to see and not see. And they have that right.
It should not be our job as a society.
We are challenged by, and we should be exposed to different concepts than the concepts we believe or know or think to be true. We need to be challenged. We need to read differing views of things to challenge our own system of thought.
Because you don't learn if you don't get those different perspectives.
Right.
You don't grow if you don't understand how vast the world is and how so many viewpoints are there, how many walks of life there really is. If you just narrow your path, you're not going to see any other path open before you.
Yeah, totally. And the whole thing right now is, since we'll be both back to Mr. Facebook, is centering on LGBTQ stuff. And I think it comes from this basic misunderstanding of why a person would be LGBTQ. It's not because they were recruited by some kind of crack force of people that are out there saying, we're going to turn your children gay by writing a book. And they're going to read about it, and then they're going to be coerced into being gay. People are going to be who they are.
They think
a book isn't convincing anybody to be something or not.
A choice. You choose to be attracted to who you're attracted to. When I feel in reality, sexuality is more fluid than that. It's more of like a percentage. It's like a pie chart.
It's on a continuum. Yeah,
like
definitely.
No one is 100. Like maybe some people are 100% straight. Maybe some people are 100% gay. But I just think it's a little more fluid than that, because you have what's it called? Pansexual, which is like you're attracted to the person regardless of their gender or sexuality.
Right, which makes total sense to me. A person that just finds a person and says, I love who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where what genitalia you have. We're obsessed with genitalia.
America has a
And
weird relationship with sex.
yeah, I mean, as a 12-year-old boy, I was obsessed with female genitalia. I
Mm-hmm.
still sort of am. But I mean, that's the time for it. When we grow up, we sort of move past these basic concepts of, again, this black and white thinking of, oh, if you've got penis, you're a boy. If you've got a vagina, you're a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Sexuality is more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's different. Every single male is different. Every
Mm-hmm.
single straight male or hetero male is different.
Mm-hmm.
We have different desires. We have different things. And so people want to put it in these nice little boxes of every man is this way, every woman is this way. And it's ridiculous. It makes no sense.
It really doesn't, but I guess we're also stuck in like kind of in this past mindset that like, oh, well, those things just aren't talked about, or at least that generation
Mm-hmm.
is still kind of around versus the
Yeah.
generation that's like, oh no, it's all getting talked about. We're all at the table.
Yeah. I mean, the whole book thing is like I read The Sun Also Rises. Great book, but I didn't become a bullfighter. I mean, it's just ridiculous to think that a book is going to turn you into something. It may stimulate you. It might make you say, oh, I want to be a doctor or I want to learn more about this field. But it doesn't turn you into a different creature.
No.
It doesn't make you gay.
No.
Or straight.
No.
I'm glad we solved that. I think that now people can go back to their normal thinking and just let this go and stop obsessing about it so much.
They don't want, I guess they feel like they don't want children exposed to these harsh topics when it's like, the world's kind of harsh. Like, you can't hide that from a child. Like, you either hide that long enough from a child to where when they grow up, they're ill equipped to deal with it.
Yeah.
Or the complete opposite route, like something that happened to me, you're kind of thrusted upon these very real and heavy situations and do not know how to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, our thing is not to talk about things.
Yeah, don't talk.
We're not going to talk about sexuality. We'll just wait till you're married and you'll figure it out.
Which what? Wait till you're married to figure it out?
Just wait till you're married and you'll figure it out. We don't want to talk about it, but once you're married, it's going to be great.
The Lord.
And you'll figure it out. No problems.
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
The Lord works it. The Lord will remove all barriers to sexuality as soon as you're married. Night before, sin. Day after, God sanctioned, baby, and everything's gonna be just fine.
So did we ever figure out why they use kids as a scapegoat?
I mean, it's an easy target. Everybody. I mean, I don't especially like children, but I don't wish them any harm. So, I mean, I think it's an easy way to say it's a code. It's like a whistle, like a dog whistle kind of thing of, well, nobody can say that they don't want to protect the children, but it's not protecting the children. In the long run, these things are going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to hurt children. It's going to hurt teenagers who are trying to find their identity and are being told that they are an abomination. And we're going to create all these laws that call them a pervert. I mean, basically is what these things are saying.
Yeah, and they're just taking away basically their rights, I feel.
Yeah, their rights and their right to figure out who they are.
They're forcing you to be the gender that you are assigned at birth, it seems, which I don't know why that's an issue. Like, and I know the big argument is that like kids don't understand this stuff, and it's like, do you remember when you were a kid? You don't know it, but like even when you're a kid, when you're like 6, 7 years old, you still get erections if you're a little boy. Or if you're
I mean you
have
are
a penis, I should say. I'm sorry.
Right. I mean it's as a cis hetero male, old man, white, um, it's hard to learn all this lingo. And I'm really trying to, that's the other thing is people get so bent out of shape about words.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to be called something, I'll call you that. You have the right. I like to be called Jeff. And if you come and call me Tyler, I don't have a problem with that name. It's a nice name, but that's not who I am. My name is not Tyler. And it's people that are like, I'm going to call you he because you are he. It's like, don't I get to decide what I get called? You get to decide your name, Mr. You get to decide whatever you want to be called. I should get to decide what I'm called.
Exactly.
Why is it such a big deal? We call each other what we're told. Like when you're in school and they're like, hey, Jeffrey, how are you doing? I'm like, I prefer Jeff. Nobody cares about that because that's my preference.
Mm-hmm.
But if you add gender to it, people go crazy. Well, you're not a woman. I can't call you she. Like, so how do you know what I am? Are you in my pants? Are you looking in my pants?
Did you ever talk to me about what I identify as? Is like, no one thinks to like, because no one wants to have that conversation. No one like it, not no one, but it seems like the people that are that spiteful just don't want to learn, which is, you should always want to learn. Never stop learning.
Yeah. Well, it's also we are categorizing things all the time. And so why all of a sudden do we want to focus on this pronoun thing is such a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares what the pronoun is? It doesn't hurt anybody.
No.
It hurts nobody for you to call somebody their pronoun.
No.
I think people want to get in this thing of like, well, it's against my religious belief, it's against this or blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But tough. I mean, people have the right to decide what they want to be called.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, I'm trying to think, because this is going to go back to like the world being a tough place. Like, and I'm in no way advocating for this, but I could see the reality of things being that like you're always going to run into an asshole.
Yes.
There's someone that's always going to do it out of spite. And for those, you just can't waste your time on them. You can't invest into them, and you can't give them the dignity or fuck. I lost the word for it. The time to educate them, because it's not your job to educate them, especially if they have already made a decision not to learn.
Right. I just wish the asshole was the exception instead of the rule. And right now, in our state, it seems to be the people are ganging up. I mean, we're passing these bills. And so, I mean, I don't know. It's irritating and it's scary because if you can go one direction, you can go the other direction. And I think that's what people need to realize, that right now we have a Republican, House and Senate in Tennessee. Someday we might have a Democratic or a Libertarian or whatever, and they may say, well, you can't pray in public. You can't do this in public. Freedom is about freedom. It shouldn't go one way or the others. And that's what I feel like people don't understand. These are precedents, and they can go against you too. You're not always going to have somebody that is friendly to your point of view. And that's why you should just not have this stuff in there. Religion shouldn't be part of it. We shouldn't be telling people who they are or what they can do, as long as they are not committing some kind of harmful act to another person.
I 100% agree.
And I know they say drag queens is a harmful act, but drag queens aren't harming anybody.
Those are just people that got a boner when Bugs Bunny did it.
Yes.
That's what I can chalk it up to. Why else would you say that it's an inherently sexual thing when it isn't?
Yeah, there's a lot of repressed sexuality going on. A lot of fixation with genitalia.
They never got to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now they're like, because again, like in my theory of if sexuality is like a spectrum, they are now curious about it, but they are repressing it by like trying to push it away.
Yep. And it's weird to me because it's fine when you have a bunch of good old boys get together for opposite day at high school and you dress like a woman. That's just men being men. But isn't that what drag is? We're
Yeah, isn't
changing our gender, we're wearing clothes.
well,
How is that any different than drag?
well since it's like a high school thing, you wouldn't want to, as a good old boy politician, you wouldn't want to sexualize the children, even though you can have child marriages in Tennessee. Well, you wouldn't want to sexualize them.
I don't know where it stops. I mean, is wearing a Bugs Bunny costume drag? Is wearing a Mickey Mouse hat, like where you're wearing a Mickey Mouse suit, is that drag?
Is
Is
cosplay
Kiss drag?
Is Kiss
Yeah.
drag?
I mean, what is drag? And now you create these laws, you have to define it, and then somebody has to enforce it. And the police are going, I got stuff to do. I don't want to be chasing drag people around.
No, I have different marginalized people to fucking handle.
Yeah, I've got stuff to do. Leave me alone with the drag.
Do you know that there are minorities just walking around? You think I can handle drag?
I gotta shoot somebody.
Yeah, I have kids to shoot.
I think we may have just been banned from every platform with this discussion.
I have school shootings to not prevent.
We lost all our sponsors. We've been canceled.
No. we're just
chatting,
venting. We're getting out our own. We're healing. This is what healing looks like.
That's true. We are venting.
Healing isn't pretty.
And we would be willing to listen to opposing views if they were based on logical ideas or thoughts.
Yes.
Not yelling and screaming and not on ignorance of the kind of things that are being used to push these bills forward. So, if you have a legitimate concern about something, I would be willing to listen to that.
Yes, I would too, honestly. So leave your all caps comments below.
And we don't live in Knoxville. We live in Cucamonga. So just come by the house.
Yeah, there is definitely a detachment when it comes to posting on a social media platform, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what really connects us, Jeff?
What is that, Ken?
Well, no. I mean, kind of. I guess Ken could be like the middle ground between us.
Yeah.
You know, like if I'm on like this
the missing
side,
link between the two of us.
Or maybe even a combination of us. I don't know.
Yeah.
If we were to do like a Fly thing or a Dragon Ball Z fusion thing,
it would be Ken.
We'd just turn into Ken. Wow. No, I think the one thing that I think helps with healing, or like, at least I always learn something when I watch a movie.
Yeah. You know, movies are so, you know, the movie Babylon came out recently. It didn't do super well, but part of it basically says movie stars come and go. It's just like flavor of the month. You know, who's ever big now, next year won't be big. But movies are on celluloid or on digital, and they never go away. And so 100 years from now, we will still have those prints of the movies that were made 100 years before. And so there's an eternity of ideas and thought and at moments in time preserved. And so the people in the movies aren't really that important, but the ideas are. And that's what I think I love about movies, is they're just these snapshots of when they were taken or when they were made.
They're moving pictures.
They are moving.
You mentioned that because I know on not the last episode, but I guess the episode before last, the first episode, you'd mentioned that you've been on this kick of 70s movies and their pacing and how it is just like this relic of their time, and how there's a different pace. They can be a slow burn. Not to say that we don't have slow burns now, but it's
Yeah.
different.
So I watched I watched A Star Is Born, 1976
Oh,
with
that's
Chris
the
Christopherson
and
and
Barbara Streisand.
yeah. And so what I noticed most is they sing a couple of songs. The camera doesn't move, the camera doesn't cut. It just is on a 3 to 5 minute song. You would never see that in a movie today. They're going to be doing all the cuts, all the different angles, all the MTV kind of stuff. But it was just, I mean, there's 5 minutes of the camera just sitting and watching this person's face and them sing. And it was like, this is sort of nice. It's soothing to me. I can just watch this moment without having to see everything jerk around. It's a very interesting movie, a very 70s movie.
Yeah, it's a product of its time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it
It's a
is
weird movie.
and it's weird because you're absolutely right. Like especially things that you watch and consume now, it's always like these 5, 10 second, maybe 15-second shots, and then it's cutting, and then it cuts, and then it cuts, and then it cuts, and it's like you gotta
Yeah.
kind of do that to hold everyone's attention, because if you hold on to something so long, it feels like you lose interest, you stop caring.
Yeah.
I know it just helps keep things dynamic, and I don't think there's anything really wrong with that either. But too many cuts and like too many like fast things, like I could see being nauseating, like a Michael Bay film, you know.
Yeah. He does too many cuts, although he's very talented. But
Mm,
it's just like so many cuts and so many pieces that he's weaving together to try to tell his story.
mm. But like
I mean,
especially like with that scene you're talking about, them doing the song, it's just on them on that one angle for like 3 to 5
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something you can't really replicate either. Like, yeah, you could cut and get the good shot or whatever, and maybe that could bring and evoke, more emotion, maybe. But like, I think you can also evoke emotion with just that one shot, just looking at him,
It's
just doing it.
powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Michael Bay movies are like diarrhea. I mean, they're just not every one of his movies, but the Transformers movies are just so cluttered. You feel like you've just been punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
They're so loud. There's so many cuts. It's just there's nothing really artistic about it or subtle. It's
Mm-hmm.
just everything is spelled out for you, and you're just being hit over the head over and over again with a hammer.
It's just it's just that's what I
Yes,
gather from
and a joke, and then a
yeah.
woman in a bikini, and then back to the beginning. Let's do it again.
So you watched the original, or not the original, but like the
No,
70s remake
there's
of A Star Is Born.
yep, there's three versions of that. That's a good call. There's a 50s version,
It has
then
Judy
there's the 70s
Garland.
version,
Yeah,
and yep, and then there's the newer version, the 2018 version.
that
And
has.
I think I'm gonna try to watch all three of them just to sort of compare the different ones. They're
You
all on HBO Max right now.
you
Possible
wanna
sponsor for the future.
you
Um,
wanna come back with your A Star Is Born trilogy review?
Maybe so. Yeah, it'll take me a while to get them all through. But I started watching the second one. I mean, the most recent one, and
Mm.
it's exactly that. Cut, 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 cut. You've got to make it exciting. So I plan to watch it, but um, I think it will be about its time. It's about the current time and how we consume or uh, yeah, consume information.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I might have to join you on this journey because I've never seen any of them.
I like starting with the 70s one, but I need to go backwards. I struggle with really old films sometimes because the acting and the
Really?
pacing is different, totally different than even the 70s. I mean, in the 50s, they were not. I guess it was the 30s and 40s where they were just overacting, and then the 50s they became a little more naturalistic. But in the 70s, it's all about naturalistic. You're supposed to not seem like you're acting.
You know,
And in the 40s, they're always talking like this, and we are going to the store.
you didn't like the transatlantic accent.
I love the transatlantic accent.
What do you mean, darling? What do you mean?
Yeah. Yes.
You want the moon?
I'll go get it for you.
You see the moon right there? I'll go and get it.
I'll lasso it and put it down.
Transatlantic not doing it for you, huh?
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit before we got on here. You saw a movie this week that you thought was interesting.
I did. I watched Phil Tippett's Mad God.
Mm.
And let me just say, that is, it's a mood. It's really good. It is like the stop motion in it is fantastic. The way that he scales things is great. The set designs, the creature, no creature looks alike. It's just amazing.
Mm.
It is fucking dark though.
I think he's worked on that for like 20 years.
See, I've read either 20 to 30 years that he's worked on it. And some of the articles I've read, it's like he was working on another movie doing special effects, and then they went with CGI. And that's a similar thing. Like, that's kind of like what got him to like stop working on Mad God for a little bit. And then from what I read, he did show it to some filmmaker friends, and they did say that like it was really good. But essentially that there is no commercial appeal for it, which I understand because there isn't a story. There's not there's kind of a story, but there's like no dialogue at all. Even no character speaks. It's either a grunt or a noise, or especially with the creatures, it's just like a gargle growl noise.
He is one of our true sort of connections to the past about the way stop motion used to be. Mm-hmm. The Harryhausen kind of stop motion. And he's worked with almost every major director, Spielberg, Lucas. Mm-hmm. I mean, anybody that's made a blockbuster, he has worked with.
Yep. He also worked on RoboCop.
That is correct. Yes, he did.
The greatest Jesus allegory.
Yes. Well, that's a messed up movie.
God, I know. And I watched that as a kid.
It was X-rated there was an X-rated cut, which we always think of sex, but it was violence. The violence was so over the top. Mm-hmm. In that scene where he's basically crucified with a shotgun.
He shoots a guy in the dick.
Yeah.
Like, think about it.
Going back, some callback.
It's a very accurate to how cops are now, but it's but yeah, Mad God.
My goodness.
Mad God reminded me a lot of, it had the same feel of like Eraserhead, in that sense of like the industrial noises. It's like this post-apocalyptic land. I'm pretty sure it's hell. And
Eraserhead is a film that I don't want to watch again, but I'm glad I have seen. Mm-hmm. It really disturbed me.
It's a mood.
It really, really disturbed me and unsettled me in so many different ways.
Yeah, it's also a movie that just has a mood and inflicts that on you and gives you this sense of dread, and you're not sure why. It's like it's weird. It's not horrifying, but it's weird and it's unsettling.
Mad God is
Eraserhead, Mad God, both, honestly.
Yeah.
And Mad God also has like some little nods to 2001. It kind of shares like a parallel with them, I feel.
Okay.
But it's on Shudder. It's a great movie.
Okay.
If you feel like being sad and have a existential pit of despair in your stomach, watch Mad God, turn off all the lights, gather the kids together, pop some corn, and get ready to sit for it's like an hour and 20 minutes, so it's not even really that long of a movie either.
I need to check that out. It's been sort of in the recesses of my mind since I've heard about it, but I need to check it out.
It is.
Have you ever Speaking totally of messed up movies, have you ever seen Pink Flamingos?
I love Pink Flamingos.
Whew.
I've actually recorded a episode of it was like a test recording of a podcast of me and some friends reviewing it and talking about it. It is. Here's the thing about Pink Flamingos, and there's going to be spoilers ahead. No one talks about the party scene. Everyone talks about the end.
Yep.
Oh, I have Ken calling in, actually.
Oh, wow.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, dude, what's up?
It's Ken. We're doing the podcast, Ken. It's Jeff.
Yeah.
We're doing the podcast right now.
Jeff? Oh, nice, guys.
Welcome to Everything is Traumatic.
Right. I'm finally here.
You're finally... See, I told you he wasn't locked in my basement.
I'm feeling better, but I'm still afraid you've done something to Ken and that he's just out of desperation calling in.
This could even be some kind of voice actor.
That is correct.
I could be a voice actor that's hired by Tyler.
I don't know. Yeah.
I hired.
Man, you called it
at 4:33. At 44 minutes into the recording. Ken, call. We're gonna get Jeff.
You called it a perfect time. We were just talking about pink flamingos.
Oh, nice! Like the ones you put outside of your house.
No. The movie.
I've never seen it.
The John Waters movie?
No, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
There's some really big pop culture stuff that I missed, you know?
I have it on DVD. Maybe we should have a watch party.
Oh,
dude,
I'm in. A little nice little.
It will change your life.
I'm in.
I don't think it'll change.
And in the worst possible way, it will change your life.
Okay. I didn't know which way you were going with that. I was like, Sin of a Woman changed my life, or
not Sin of a Woman. No. It is still shocking. I think even in a day of nothing is shocking, it is still got plenty to shock and offend.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It really does. It is a very tasteless movie. That it's one of John Waters' first movies, or like his third or fourth movie.
Oh, cool. Right.
And
I'm into it. I love being shocked. I love being,
This is true. Ken loves seeing a train wreck.
Yeah, it is one of my favorite pastimes.
It's kind of what got him. Go ahead.
It just, a friend of mine convinced me to watch this, and he knew about it. And I think I knew the last scene, which is I won't spoil right now because Ken hasn't seen it, but the stuff in between is much more messed up than the final scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's all the others. Like, everyone remembers the last scene. Like, that's what they talk about the most. That's just like the crescendo of like all the other depraved shit that goes on in that movie.
Right. And a lot of this, it's probably the thing that people talk about because it is like I don't even know because I haven't seen it, but it's probably the thing that is traditionally the most gruesome, and they show it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty extreme,
right? But all the other stuff that you're talking about that's even more, that's like left to your imagination almost.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, no, there's nothing left to the imagination.
Oh, great.
Nothing is left to the imagination in this film.
The movie's not known for its subtlety.
John Waters came to UT and did a talk. And they were all on drugs when they made this film.
Right.
In Baltimore. Low budget. It was banned. It was banned from everywhere. It's just something. I mean, I'm traumatized by this movie. And I'm having memories of trauma from talking about this movie. But I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I have seen the film because it is such a huge piece of pop culture lore.
Wow. I'm going to have to see it. With my love of train wrecks and and being uncomfortable. I mean, it seems like it's right up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable.
It is.
Right.
It is. It's also
And this
very
is the man who
campy.
made. Yeah, yeah. True independent filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But yeah,
I love to see people with nothing struggling through something that means something.
So should we catch Ken up on the podcast? Ken, how are you doing? I mean, we could also stop recording and I can just take the phone call.
No, I was just seeing what you were into. I'm doing great. I worked all day.
How was work?
Ready for the weekend. It was great. Farmed.
Nice. Yeah, Jeff, that's one of the
we
things.
wanted. Go ahead.
That's one of the things you don't know about Ken is actually a farmer.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that to me.
Yeah, I run a farm for like homeowners that want to permaculture their property, but they don't have time to. So I just do everything for them.
All right. I don't even know what that word means. What does that mean?
It's like make their land, feed them, and take care of them in as many ways possible, and them also enriching the land. Like it makes a cyclical cycle of them enriching the land enriching them, type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Talking about healing, what a neat thing to be a part of. Healing the earth and letting the earth produce and feed people.
And permaculture is really about that. It's about naturally fixing the land to where it has nutrients. You can grow in it. You don't use pesticides or fertilizers traditionally. You just amend the soils with the right grasses and the right plants, and you let your animals eat that, who also in turn fertilize the land. And,
yeah,
we have a bunch of free range animals such as sheep and goats and chickens and ducks and a mule and
Ruby
geese. Yeah, Ruby's our mule. She'll sneak up on you.
That's amazing. See, we need to talk some more about this. I think so. That needs to be part of maybe our next episode. Is you
talking about farming? About this
yeah. What a way to heal the earth. The earth is a mess, and what a nice way to do something cyclic that sort of helps everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even on a smaller level, it's like the government even wants us to do these things. They like give major tax breaks for people who are farming this way, and they're even in tune to giving you a greenhouse as long as you're using permaculture techniques and these. It's really actually old world techniques. It's like before there was factory farming, you farmed like this. And then factory farming came in, where they started plowing the land and adding fertilizers and things like that. And that's kind of where the small time backyard guy shouldn't be farming like a big time guy.
Yeah.
It's two different things, You shouldn't be plowing your backyard at all to farm it.
Yeah, the factory farms have sort of ruined everything for everybody.
It's just the ideal that, they can do what they want. And if it works for them, it works for them, whatever. But the backyard guy doesn't need to plow his land. He doesn't need to put fertilizer in the ground, as long as he plants the right thing. And that doesn't contaminate the person next to you. When you put in fertilizers in the ground, the water runoff leaches into the neighbor's yard, and it affects them. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to do that, especially like living in the cities and things like that. So the government, if you're growing like this and you're deemed to farm, they give you money because of that. Awesome. Because you're making less of an impact on the land that they have to pay for.
I love this.
I know. I love that Ken just called to prove my point that he wasn't in a basement.
Yeah, and not only is he not in a basement, he's like got this amazing kind of thing he does.
He's in the opposite of a basement.
It's the basement of the world, maybe, but it's outside.
This is great. I mean, I tell Tyler that this makes my week, us talking, just taking time to talk about whatever we talk about. And now that I've heard what you had to talk about, it just makes me a little more hopeful for the world, maybe.
Right.
Ooh, I cannot think of a better conclusion than ending on such an uplifting, happy note.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, fuck.
Take us out, Tyler.
Yep, I blanked. Okay. This has been this has been Everything is Traumatic. I am Tyler.
I'm Jeff.
And we're
And
joined.
I'm Ken.
And we found Ken. Ladies and gentlemen, non-binaries, every gender, good night, and others.